This is Weekly Woman by Jubilance for PMS. Welcome so much. We're so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Yes, I'm glad. Hello, everyone. I know you can't see me, but hi, my name is Sarah Moses, and I'm the co-founder and president of Empowering Our Women in St Lucia.
Amazing. So we kind of start off with some more fun questions, or maybe not so fun, this question, but what have you been up to during the pandemic?
Well, right now, I can begin from 2020. We've been focusing both on sexual reproductive health and rights, as well as gender-based violence that gravely affects young women within St. Lucia.
Can you talk a little bit about Empowering Young Women? So what is this organization?
Our organization basically focuses on educating women on the importance of sexual reproductive health and rights, mental health, raising awareness on the prevalence of gender-based violence, as well as trying to create a formality with leadership in communities and trying to build community work and involvement among young women.
Oh, that's amazing. And I found like your organization on Instagram and like the amazing work that you're doing. You just finished what had been culminating in like a 2-3 year project, the Period Pride Project. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Well, yes. So we started executing the Career Pride project in 2021. So we tried to align with the Menstrual Hygiene Awareness Day, which is May 28th. So we're trying to separate from the hygiene part and try to raise more awareness among period poverty instead of focusing on thinking that period is dirty and that we need to clean up ourselves when we're during our period. So instead of having that kind of mentality, we try to shift it more on raising awareness on period equity that affects real young girls in St. Lucia, basically.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about that? As a podcast based in America, maybe we have a very different like aspect of how we think about menstruation and taboo. Can you talk about what the current thinking is on St. Lucia about menstruation?
Well, I guess it's a global issue, to be honest. There's always this stigma that period is dirty, and that when we discuss about period, that we have that kind of uncomfortable feeling, like we aren't ready to embrace it. We always have that kind of negative mentality towards period that is just painful and when we should hate it, and instead of embracing it and loving it and know that it's natural and that means we're healthy if we have our periods. So I think it's like a global issue and not only in St. Lucia.
And what does the period education look like in St. Lucia? In America, we have a health class when we're like in 5th grade, 6th grade, so like 11 or 12, where they talk about your period for the first time. What does it look like? What do you guys do on St. Lucia?
Well, we have specific courses in our curriculum that not really in-depthly focus on menstrual hygiene or the female autonomy. So it's like a brief lesson basically. So it doesn't really go in depth on how to care for ourselves and understanding how menstruation works. Or usually companies come in and like do a brief introduction to it, but nothing really in depth on educating girls on like what's to be expected on the period and what to do and not what to do and what signs to know that you're having some stuff like PCOS and other, stuff that affects your body while you're on your period. So I'm trying to, yes.
Yeah, so that's great that they have Empowering Our Women so people can learn a little bit more in depth about what a period is and what this thing that happens like once a month is happening in our like half the population.
That is extremely true. That is very true.
So what exactly are you doing with the education component with Empowering Our Women? How are you getting everything out there?
Well, since we're still in a pandemic, we're trying to have everything online and like do everything on social media. But we're trying to expand our formality and try to reach to the schools as much as possible in the near future. But right now we're just strictly thinking about having our advocacy on social media for now.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's really helpful in like getting out to a huge community touched internationally as well as like the Caribbean and St. Lucia, which is really cool. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what's been happening with the pandemic in St. Lucia? How are you guys doing?
Well, well, it's been pretty bad to be honest. The pandemic has really affected our main industry, which is the tourism industry. But right now, we kind of recuperating from the effects of the pandemic as we're bringing more tourists during the last couple of months. So it's kind of like a good sign that we're
Okay.
trying to, cope with the pandemic. But however, it still gravely affects adolescent girls, especially with, the lack of economic mobility among these certain groups, because, within our region, there's a high level of informal work. And yes, so it basically affects young women more than our counterparts, male counterparts, basically. So yes,
Oh man, I'm so sorry about that.
yes, it's totally understandable. So we're trying our best to try and cope with trying to end that stigma against period poverty, to try and raise awareness and try and incorporate, you know, menstrual products and menstrual awareness during the pandemic as much as
Oh,
possible.
that's awesome. And you guys have been able to donate a lot of period products to women in need, which is amazing. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Thank you very much. Yes, so we started in 2020. We began with distributing menstrual packages like in a bag. So we started targeting adolescent girls within who are more vulnerable than others. So we started in the Uptown Garden Girls Center and in the transit home, which is in Grizzly, St. Lucia.
Oh,
And in 2021, we decided to try and extend our reach to schools. So we decided to create our Period Pride campaign. Yes, and we made our little personal fem packs with like more products and our first package distribution. So we try to reach to schools in the rural communities and that affect, where women, young girls are more highly affected.
that's awesome. Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure people are just so thrilled to get that. Um,
Yes, they really love the packages at first. So yes, we're happy that we made an impact on the lives of these adolescent girls. It means a lot to us.
wow, that's amazing. And how are you able to fund everything? How can people help? How, like, do you get donations? How are
Well,
you
in
able to?
the yes, so within 2020, it was extremely hectic. We didn't have any grants because we were just an upcoming organization. So we had to be promoting on our social media and asking for donations and asking for organizations if they can help give us, a little bit of funds or items that could help, you know, curate our packages. It was a bit difficult to try and fund the first package donation drive. But however, in 2021, we applied for grants and we ended up getting funds from the Frida Feminist Fund. So it was amazing that we have the funds already. So we just had to just purchase some of the items and everything was organized already. So that was amazing.
Wow, that's incredible. Congratulations on those grants.
Thank you very much.
That is quite a feat. That's awesome.
Yes, yes. It was extremely I was extremely thankful for that, to be honest. Like coming from a organization was just existing in 2018 and we don't have much experience with grant making and stuff like that. And it just happened and we got extremely lucky with that. So I'm extremely thankful.
Wow. And where do you see empowering our women going in the future? What's next for you guys?
Well, we're trying to, since we already started with gender-based violence, as well as sexual reproductive health and rights, we're trying to most likely incorporate it together in, future advocacy plans. So hopefully, in for the 16 years of activism, we try to focus on both sexual reproductive health and how it coincides with gender-based violence
Mm.
as well. And also we're trying to do something more on leadership and allowing girls to get some more education how to market themselves, who have the interest in, doing having a small business basically. So we're trying to focus on both leadership aspects as well as raising advocacy for social issues that affect adolescent girls.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. You guys are doing a lot. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And something I didn't ask before is how did you end up starting Empowering Our Women? What prompted you to create this organization in 2018?
Well, I always realized that there was a significant need for advocacy organizations that focus on the well-being of young adolescent girls and women in St. Lucia. And there was a significant lack within that aspect here. So, myself and another young lady, we decided to come up with this organization and try to end the stigma and also try and curate outreach programs to at least assist girls who are in need. So yes, basically that's how we came to existence.
Yeah, that's awesome. And something that we always ask on this podcast, Tara, is what is your definition of womanhood?
Well, that's a strict it's a brief well, I would say a brief overview of everything. Well, to me, womanhood means like embracing yourself and being proud that you're a woman no matter what society has to say about the stigma and the forms of barriers that we face as women. I believe that no matter what society has against us or what kind of disparities we have faced, we still have that courage and that pride that will help us encounter like sorry.
No, I think that's awesome. It's like you said, embrace yourself, which I think
Yeah,
is
to allow us
amazing.
to breathe out, like, or just going carrying on and everything, but like something that will help us embrace ourselves as a woman. So no matter what society has against us, we know that we are women and we are strong and that we are amazing and we are phenomenal. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, we are phenomenal. Yes. And Tara, if there was something that you could give like as advice to yourself like 10 years ago, what would it
Mhm.
have been?
Well, definitely don't listen to what anyone has to say about you because you're amazing. That's the best thing I would say. And trying not to overthink situations. You got this. And, take everything, patiently and take everything slowly. Everything happens for a reason. Whatever, whatever happens is inevitable. And just, live in the moment.
That's awesome. I love that. Live in the moment. I think we should all do that with this crazy year that we've had.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And how can people find out more about empowering our women?
Well, we have our Instagram and Facebook and Twitter accounts, so you can check it out at Empowering Our Women SLU. So
Okay,
yes.
perfect. Awesome. And is there anything else you want to add to our listeners today?
Um, to be honest, I'm not too sure, but the most I would advise is that you check out our page and at least show an interest and interact with our posts as well. And we're open to donations for our second and third cycle for our period project. So if you think you might want to be a donator, we are open to receiving all donations right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Tara.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.